Elias Grayson never expected his quiet life on the edge of a half-forgotten colony world to change. His cabin stood alone at the fringe of the green-tinged forest, where the wind smelled faintly metallic and alien birds sang in tones unlike Earth's. He had settled here after leaving behind a crowded Earth, hoping for peace after years of working as a military engineer. But peace had its price: solitude. The nights were long, and the silence was heavy. That silence broke one stormy evening. Rain hissed across the roof, and lightning made jagged cracks through the sky. Elias was preparing a meal when he heard it: soft, insistent scratching at the cabin door. At first, he thought it was one of the wild animals that sometimes ventured close. He gripped his old service pistol just in case and opened the door. What he found made his stomach twist. On the doorstep, shivering under the rain, stood a woman, though clearly not human. Her skin glowed faintly blue under the lightning's flash, and her large golden eyes blinked against the storm. She was gaunt, barely clothed, and trembling with weakness. In her arms, wrapped in frayed fabric, lay a tiny infant, its small chest rising and falling in rapid breaths. The woman's lips trembled as she held the baby toward him. Her voice, weak but melodic, cracked through the storm. "Please, food for her." "I cannot." Her knees buckled, and she nearly collapsed, clutching her child protectively. Elias dropped the pistol and rushed forward, catching them before they fell onto the wet earth. "Easy, I've got you," he muttered. He glanced at the infant, frail with faint glowing markings along its cheeks. The child gave a weak cry. Elias didn't think twice. He pulled them both inside, slamming the door against the storm. The beginning of trust. Elias laid the woman on his worn-out couch, wrapping her in blankets. She was light, too light for someone her size. Malnutrition, he realized. Her skin was cold to the touch, and her eyes fluttered as though she hadn't slept in days. The baby stirred, making soft cooing sounds. Elias, who had never so much as held a child before, panicked for a moment, but instinct took over. He gently cradled the infant, whispering to calm it. "All right, little one, you're safe now." The mother's lips moved. "Nalira, my daughter." Elias nodded. "Nalira. Beautiful name." The mother tried to speak more, but exhaustion claimed her. Within moments, she was unconscious. Elias stood there, torn between fear and determination. This wasn't just some wandering colonist. She was an alien, possibly from one of the nearby star systems rumored to harbor displaced refugees. He could call the colonial authorities, but he remembered their reputation: cold, bureaucratic, and quick to detain anything non-human. He looked down at the tiny infant in his arms. The decision was already made. "Guess it's you and me tonight, kid," he whispered. Days of struggle. The first days were chaos. The mother, whose name Elias learned was Sarai, slept long hours, her body fighting to recover. She spoke little, her voice raspy, her words halting in broken standard. Elias learned through gestures and fragments of speech that she and her baby had fled from a crashed refugee vessel deep in the forest. Supplies had run out weeks ago. She tried to survive on roots, leaves, anything edible, but her strength had dwindled. With her child starving, she had stumbled toward the faint lights of Elias's cabin, willing to leave her baby at the doorstep if it meant a chance at survival. Elias couldn't stop picturing that moment, the desperation in her eyes as she offered up her child. So he worked tirelessly. He adapted his food synthesizer, experimenting until he found a formula that Nalira could digest. He boiled water, mashed fruits, even gave up much of his own food so Sarai could recover. The nights were the hardest. Nalira's cries pierced the stillness, unfamiliar and urgent. Elias walked circles around the cabin, rocking her in his arms, whispering nonsense until she quieted. Sometimes Sarai would wake and watch, tears in her golden eyes. "You care for her," she whispered one night. Elias shrugged, embarrassed. "Someone has to." Sarai's hand trembled as she reached out, touching his arm. "You, good man." Learning each other. Weeks passed. Sarai regained strength, though her frame remained lean. She began to help around the cabin, cleaning, mending Elias's worn clothes with remarkable skill. She spoke more, teaching him words from her language. In turn, Elias taught her standard properly. Their bond grew slowly, quietly. One evening, as the storm winds returned, Elias found Sarai sitting by the fire with Nalira in her lap. She hummed softly, a tune that resonated like crystal. The baby cooed, glowing markings pulsing gently in rhythm. Elias sat across from her. "That song, what is it?" Sarai looked up, her smile faint but warm. "Lullaby. My people sing to protect children from dark." Elias nodded, listening. Something about the melody tugged at his chest. For the first time in years, the cabin didn't feel empty. But the world beyond their walls was far from safe. The threat arrives. It began with the drone. Elias spotted it hovering one morning, its sleek metallic body scanning the forest near his cabin. Colonial patrol design. Unmistakable. His stomach dropped. He hurried back inside. "Sarai, we've got a problem." She stiffened instantly, holding Nalira closer. "Hunters." Elias shook his head. "Worse. Authorities." He knew what would happen if they found her. The colonial government didn't want alien refugees destabilizing their world. Sarai and her baby would be taken, separated at best, experimented on at worst. That night, Sarai whispered while holding Nalira close. "If they come, take her. Hide her. She must live, even if I..." "Stop," Elias cut in firmly. He met her golden eyes. "I'm not letting them take either of you. You came to my door. That makes you my responsibility now." Sarai stared at him for a long time, then lowered her head, whispering words from her own tongue. Prayers or thanks, he couldn't tell. The confrontation. 2 days later, the knock came. Elias opened the door to find 3 armored colonial officers standing in the rain. Their visors gleamed, weapons slung at their sides. The lead officer spoke briskly. "Mr. Grayson, scans indicate unauthorized life forms in this sector. You will allow us to search your premises." Elias's heart pounded, but his face remained calm. "Haven't seen anyone but the wildlife. Place is yours to scan from the outside." The officer frowned. "That is not optional." He tried to step forward. Elias blocked the door, gripping the frame. "You've got no warrant, and last I checked, this colony still recognizes property rights." The standoff stretched. Finally, the officer narrowed his eyes. "We'll be watching." With a sharp signal, the patrol turned and left. Elias closed the door, sweat dripping down his back. Sarai emerged from the shadows, Nalira in her arms, trembling. "They will come again," she whispered. Elias nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready." Choosing family. For weeks, Elias prepared. He modified the cabin systems, shielding scanners, setting traps in the forest, building escape tunnels. Sarai helped, her clever hands repurposing scraps into cloaking fabric for herself and Nalira. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were fighting to stay together. And in those nights, when the child slept peacefully between them, Elias realized something startling.